And so today we're previewing West Indies. We're previewing West Indies T20 team throughout the year 2022. And so West Indies actually played a lot of T20 cricket in 2022. We played against England here in the Caribbean, and we won that, at the start of 2022. We beat England 3-2 in a very close series, very entertaining. We went to India straight after, but we were thoroughly beaten in India. We got a 3-0 grubbing. And then we came back in the Caribbean and we beat Bangladesh 2-0. Against New Zealand, we lost 2-1 over the summer. We lost to India 4-1 over the summer. And then, of course, we went to Australia and it was just abysmal. We lost 2-0 to Australia. And then, to close out the year, embarrassingly, we were knocked out before we even got to the main round of World Cup, right? We got knocked out in the qualifiers. Let's just review what happened, throughout 2022, starting with that England series. I think this was our best T20 series for the entire year 2022, beating England 3-2. England came to the Caribbean with a strong team. I know there was no Ben Stokes and no Jos Buttler, but they came with their captain Owen Morgan, the Moeen Ali. They rested some of their main seamers, but they also came with the likes of Timal Mills. And they came with I would say a 70% full strength England team. And so they were expected to just run through West Indies and win this series comprehensively. But they were in for a shocker. The first T20 in Kensington, Barbados. And we know Jason Holder. Jason Holder is what? The king of Kensington Oval. Jason Holder and Sheldon Cottrell, right? They stunned England, bowled out for 103 in the first T20, a shocker. Cottrell back with salutes. Jason Holder, the king of Kensington Oval, just giving England a lot of troubles. Then when West Indies went to bat, Brandon King looking so composed, so relaxed, and Nicholas Pooran, they both, ensured that West Indies won with ease. We won with 9 wickets in hand, about 3 overs to spare. It was exciting to watch. The next day, though, as West Indian fans, we know West Indians were very inconsistent. So the next day, we wanted to see what West Indies would do in the second T20. And, England, they put up a bit of fight, Jason Roy finding some form and stuff like that. Jason Holder was still bowling well, but England managed to muster above 170. And it wasn't going well for West Indies. West Indies played that sort of a ODI looking top order. Shea Hope, Darren Bravo, Nicholas Pooran, Brandon King, and all of them, striking at runner ball, getting there 11, 15, 20, whatever the score was. And so by the end of the 15th over, it looked well and truly game gone for West Indies. We were like 95 for 8 in 15 overs. But then Romario Shepherd and Akil Hussain, he's a very underrated cricketer, and that was the moment that really showed me that Hussain really can bat. He took the game down to the final over and we only lost by 1 run. In the final over, by the way, we needed something like 34 or 33 runs, and Akil Hussain, he got 30 out of them. So, just goes to show the depth in our T20 batting. That was one of my favorite matches throughout the year 2022 for T20 cricket. And then the third ODI, Rovman Powell came to the forum and made a big century to join the likes of Chris Gale and Evan Lewis to become the third West Indian to score a T20 century. Yes, Nicholas Pooran, he did his thing as well, but it was all about Rovman Powell. Rovman Powell getting that monkey off his back, and I think that is what then secured him now in the West Indies team. Even to this day, that century, right? It secured him for the rest of the year. Rovman Powell. The fourth T20, we lost, and the fifth T20 again was a nail biter, and we won. Jason Holder picking up 4 wickets in 1 over. It was just magnificent to watch. And so, we won the series 3-2, and I think that was our best series. It was very entertaining nonetheless, and exciting series. We then went to India on a high, West Indies huddling up and, they were confident after beating England. And it showed when we went to India that we were still in good nick. You saw that West Indies, we batted first, made 157 for 7. India chasing it down very easily with 7 deliveries to spare. But in that 157, you could see Puran getting a half century. You could see Kyle Mayers getting some runs. Puran carried over his form from that England series. Nothing really to write home about West Indian bowling except Ruston Chase. Ruston Chase took 2 for 14 from 4 overs. Remember, he's bowling the likes of Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Ishan Kishan, and none of them could get Ruston Chase away. He only got hit for 1 boundary in his entire spell. That's amazing. And he went ahead in the second T20 and got 3 for 25. We have to highlight this, because we lost the series 3-0. So we're looking for highlighted points. And Ruston Chase got 3 for 25 from his 4 overs, while India piled down the runs in the second T20, 108 yards, right? And West Indies narrowly missed out. We lost by 7 runs. Again, it was Rovman Powell and Nicholas Pooran, the 2 boys who were in form in the Caribbean. They carried over that form into India. Again, Ruston Chase, after this series was dropped, I just want to highlight that. And if you look at his numbers, right, he was going at an economy below 6 in the 3 matches. His average was about 10, getting a wicket every 2 overs since his strike rate is 12. Why was Ruston Chase dropped? We understand he's being played as an all-rounder, but I thought he wasn't deserving of a drop given his statistics. If you look at the bowling stats displayed on the screen for you, Ruston Chase was the best bowler among all West Indians and among all Indians. He took the most wickets. He had the best average, best strike rate, right? And therefore, you would think that Ruston Chase at least deserved to stay in the T20 team. Unfortunately, he was then dropped after this series. We then played Bangladesh, and we don't want to spend too much time on Bangladesh because, we beat the Bangladesh 2-0 the first T20. Bangladesh were struggling. We had them, like 80 something for 6 or something like that. Then rain came and, we were pretty much on course to bowl Bangladesh out. The second T20 again, we won by 35 runs. We piled on the runs, and again, it was Rovman Powell with some brilliant striking and Brandon King who got us up to, a magnificent score above that 180 marker. And then in the third T20 at Providence, Guyana, we were chasing 160. And again, it was Nicholas Pooran. And Kyle Mayers also chipped in a 50. Kyle Mayers and Pooran ensured that West Indies won by 5 wickets. So you can see at the start of the year who was making the runs. It was all about Nicky P, the captain, Nicholas Pooran. It was all about Rovman Powell and to some extent Brandon King. These were the guys making the runs at the start of the year. But then everything changed. Everything changed when the summer came. When summer came now, West Indies just got thrashed. India came to the Caribbean, we lost 4-1. Nothing much to talk about. Only thing we can say though is that we saw in the summer Shimron Hetmeyer return to the team. Yes, we lost 4-1, but Hetmeyer returned to the team in the first first T20 rather. He was there, and it was just good to see Hetmeyer in Trinidad playing straight away. And in the second T20, it's Obed McCoy. Obed McCoy getting rid of Rohit Sharma for a duck, getting rid of Surya Kumar Yadav, getting 6 for 17. And this is the best figures by a West Indian bowler overall in T20 history. So, it was just really nice to see Obed McCoy. He was just doing magnificent stuff. And then, in that chase, Brandon King getting a 50, Devon Thomas hitting the winning runs. And it was just magnificent. We won the second T20. But apart from that, then West Indies continued struggling. We struggled against spin. And so for the remainder of the matches, the third, the fourth, and the fifth match, you saw India, bamboozling West Indies with spin, and so we lost 4-1. There's nothing much to talk about. Maya got a 50, in the fifth ODI, but it was in a losing cost. There's nothing really to look into. Obed McCoy started getting, spanked in the remainder of the games. Nothing really to talk about in that series. And then New Zealand came and we saw the same trend, the same trend. West Indies struggled against Spain. We lost the series 2-1, and New Zealand won the first two games. So the last game really was a dead rubber. But, when Kiwi came, we struggled against Spain at Sabina Park here in Jamaica. Just look at the statistics I'm displaying. Against New Zealand, Mitchell Santner, Bracewell, Ish Sodhi. Look at New Zealand's best three bowlers, all spin. Look at their strike rate, 12, 12, 24. The spinners dominated West Indies at Sabina Park. And it was just really embarrassing to see that the same weakness continued from the India series into the New Zealand series. Yes, Shamar Brooks got some runs, albeit at runner ball, 40 odd in the first and the second. And the third game, you know, albeit at a runner ball, he was making some runs, but at the end of the day, it was just a disappointing series. Yes, Brandon King got a 50 in the third T20, but all in all, it was just a disappointment. West Indies showing that, there was no improvement playing against Spain. And of course, we had the CPL. We're not going to get into CPL, that's, not international cricket. But then at the end of September, West Indies announced their World Cup squad to go to Australia. And guess what? No Andre Russell, no Shimron Hetmyer. Well, he was in the squad, but then he missed his flight. And so then Hetmyer had to be replaced by Shamar Brooks, which I still didn't understand the logistics. He missed a couple flights. But if we really wanted Hetmyer, I think they could have, extended some more. But that's another debate. No Sunil Narayan, no Fabian Allen. So West Indies went to World Cup without any, what I like to call these players X Factor players. They went to World Cup without their X Factor players, and it showed. When we went to Australia, we were beaten 2-0 again, and the batsmen were just struggling for runs. In the first T20, West Indies, won the toss and batted first. And the only thing many persons remember from that game was that Kyle Mayer's wonderful six over extra cover. That's what many persons remember from that game. But they don't remember that, again, West Indies were playing and we were struggling. We got like 140 out for 9, and Glenn Maxwell and Adam Zampa bowling 8 overs together for like 46 runs. That's at an economy less than 6. Why are we going at 5 runs and over in Australia against Spain? That was poor. So West Indies struggle continued against Spain. They didn't take a lot of wickets, but the struggle was just so real. The West Indians still not learning. In the second T20 again, West Indies made 147. So 1 run improvement, 1 dege run improvement from the first T20. And again, we lost by 30 odd runs. And it was just abysmal. The only good thing that came from that series was Alzari Joseph found good rhythm and he was in fine form heading into the World Cup. Would that be enough to help West Indies get through the qualifiers? No, it wasn't. West Indies went to play the prelim and we started against Scotland and Scotland whooped us. George Munsey showing West Indies how to do it. In the power play, West Indies made a huge blunder. They decided to open the bowling with Kyle Mayers, and it just seemed like it was a scripted plan. Open with Kyle Mayers. He should get some swing. It didn't work in the first game against Scotland. Mayers got whooped. Scotland were out of the blocks in a flyer 55 without losing 6 overs. Finally, Jace Nolan, Alzari Joseph restore some pride, and they restricted Scotland to 160. Hola and Alzari 2 for 14 and 2 for 28 respectively. They ensured that it didn't get away from West Indies. But with the bat, West Indies were poor, getting bowled out for 118. We saw Scotland taking on paper. And guess what again? It was the Scottish spinners, Matt Wheel, Michael Lees. It was just a couple of spinners who bamboozled West Indies. So West Indies again making what? Less than 150 again. West Indies making less than 150 again. West Indies cannot play spin. And the issue continued. We lost that opener to Scotland, and you'd think West Indies would learn or take away something in the next game. No, we didn't learn. We went to play Zimbabwe 153. Yes, Johnson Charles made some runs and Rodman Powell. We saw some fight from West Indies. We saw some improvement in the power play. And at the end of the day, it was just disappointing again. After the power play, West Indies got out 55 for like one. Evan Lewis and Charles, had a good partnership. And then, of course, the spinners came into play again. Sikandar, Raza, and company. It was just a couple spinners. Zimbabwe only have two frontline spinners, and they even throw in a part-time spinner to getting, 9, 10 overs of spin. And again, West Indies struggled. Sikandar Raza 3 for 19. West Indies barely getting over 150. Luckily, Alzari Joseph and Jason Holder, guess what? They came to the rescue, bowled out Zimbabwe for 122. So West Indies still had a shot to go through now in their final game. This was against Ireland, and we needed to win. Once we won, we would have went straight into the main round of the World Cup. But unfortunately, West Indies struggle against Spain continued. Only mustering 146 right through the year, we were struggling to make 150. Can you imagine that? The Giants, West Indies struggling to make 150 in T20. And so, Brandon King got a 50. It was all about the Irish spinners, the McCarthy, the Gerard Delaney, the Simi Singh. 10 overs of spin, and West Indies could only muster. When you look at it, Delaney 16, Simi Singh 11, McCarthy 30. So that is 30, 16, and 11. That's 57 runs West Indies could score from 10 overs against the Irish spinners. And they lost 4 wickets to those spinners. So 57 for 4 in 10 overs against Irish spinners. It shows that West Indies throughout the year, they didn't improve against spin. It didn't matter where they were playing, whether in India, whether in West Indies, whether in Australia. We struggled against spin. And that's the biggest concern West Indies have for the year 2022. The batsmen really need to improve how they play against spin. And the good takeaway was Alzari Joseph, and Jason Holder. They were on top of their game with the ball for West Indies. But let's have a look at what the leading run scorer was Nicholas Pooran. He started the first half of the year in flying colors with, getting 3 back-to-back 50s in India, continuing his form against, Bangladesh. And he was in good rhythm against England. But as the year progressed, Pooran just didn't make any runs. So Pooran is 582 runs. He had about 400 plus in the first 6 months of the year. The rest, he was struggling. Brandon King and Rodman Powell. These were the only guys who were standing up and making runs. Kyle Mayers here and there. But overall, it was a disappointing year with the bat for West Indies. You look at it, we couldn't get somebody who could consistently be that X factor batsman for us. With the ball again, Jason Holder and Alzari, they were our standout bowlers. Holder with 28 wickets, at an average of 20, strike rate 15, very good. And Alzari Joseph, even more brilliant, 16 wickets, average even better, and his strike rate even better, and his economy even better. Those were the two that, they were best bowlers for the year. So for 2023, what are the takeaways? What West Indies need to improve on? We need to improve on playing spin, both home and away. Our batsmen need to find a way now to rotate the strike in the middle overs against spinners. And so we can put up those big scores of 180. Next issue, West Indies need to find some spinners. When you look at the year, apart from Jason Holder, Alzari Joseph, Obed McCoy here and there, West Indies spinners, our spinners weren't as penetrative as the other teams. And so West Indies for 2023, they need to find themselves some quality spinners. Whether they're going to go back to Rust and Chase or whether they're going to, look at, other spin options. Do we have the spin options? The Fabian Allen, Akil Hussain is good, but what are our options? Are we gonna try to call Sunil Narayan? Just kidding, just kidding. But whatever West Indies decide to do, they really need to have a plan for 2023. But overall, it wasn't the best of years for West Indies in T20 cricket. It was possibly a worse year, unfortunately. But we look forward to 2023 to see what West Indies have to offer.